Ladies and gentlemen of the internet, welcome back to the channel. My name is Dante, aka Dante DeFi. Now, if you're new here, we are documenting everything we're doing with our crypto portfolios in the year 2025. We have been documenting this journey from 2020 essentially, and most of it has been happening on X with spurts here and there on the YouTube channel. Obviously, there's plenty of videos from 2021 and 2020. But if you're new here, make sure you're subscribing. To all the people who have subscribed since the start of the year, I really appreciate you. Welcome. This video is not going to be specifically about anything. It's just going to be some thoughts, guys. Like, I realize if I want to keep doing this for the rest of the year, I can't just simply talk about what I'm doing with my portfolio every single week and still be entertained or think that it's entertaining to you guys. So I will throw in some random things that we can discuss outside of the markets in there. But let's talk about the markets, because we have been going up for quite some time. This is not like, rocket science here that the crypto market's possibly going to continue higher in 2025. So that being said, we have made allocations to the market in different ways. And I just want to talk about some of the things we've already discussed, some theses we've made and how they're playing out right now. Because at the start of the year, everything was down. Things were not looking very good. And now, within a couple of days, guys, we were talking about this just a few days ago, people on crypto Twitter, people talking about the market's top, people talking about it's over, I packed my bags, I sold out, I'm in stables. But guess what? A couple days after that, market is ripping, Bitcoin's above $100,000. All of these coins we've been talking about are 30-40% higher than they were a few days ago. So if I can tell you anything, if I can give you advice on anything, because I'm not a financial advisor, what I am is some guy on the internet who has made these mistakes before, has learned the lessons, and is trying to put his best foot forward moving forward. And that is, like, you have to have your own belief about what's going to happen in the market. Guys, I wouldn't still be here if I didn't believe that there was genuine value to crypto to every single person on this planet. I would not be here today. I would not still be putting in time. I wouldn't be bothering to be making videos for you guys if I didn't think that there was some value for this long-term and over time. Now, Bitcoin is sitting at $100,000. This in itself is a perfect example of the fact that this stuff is life-changing, and, over time, I think people are going to realize that more and more. But that being said, we talked about a few different projects. I'm going to get right into it and give you an update on my portfolio. And I know I've just babbled on about other random things for quite some time, but we're going to talk about my portfolio. I love all of you if you're still here. So the first thing I want to talk about, now we talked about different projects, KASPA, Tau, two of our biggest holdings in 2024. We reduced holdings in KASPA because we just thought there might be better opportunities, but we still hold some, of course. KASPA, I think, an amazing play, but we'll get into it. But the first one I want to talk about here, and we'll talk about the ones, obviously we'll get to the coins that have been doing really, really well. Because again, if I'm going to be here, I'm going to brag about the projects that are doing really well, but we're going to talk about ones that are struggling as well. So BitTensor Tau, again, if you relate to the rest of the market, it hasn't been doing very well. And even I have been posting some semi-emotional tweets about, is BitTensor dead and why isn't the price moving? What are we to do here? So I guess the lesson here, and kind of the thing to remember with BitTensor or any project really, is going all in on one project, no matter how convicted you are, is, giving you a higher probability of failure. Again, there's people who will say, like, when you have your best idea, whatever that might be, allocate to your best idea or go full force into your best idea. I can tell you it hasn't worked for me, so that's not the approach I take. No matter how convinced I am of things like KASPA, which I genuinely am, even I've had advice from other people to, like, reduce exposure. Yes, you have a great idea. Yes, you may think that this is the future, but don't be so heavy into one thing. That being said, with Tau, I think the AI meta, we've talked about it, we've been talking about it, and it has continued to grow. The AI meta is in full force, and I don't think it's going away anytime soon. BitTensor is kind of like the infrastructure framework play within the AI space as a whole. It's not as glamorous as these agent platforms or agents themselves, but it is doing a lot to try and be one of the behemoths of the decentralized open source, quote unquote, AI development moving forward. I really like the mission, the vision, but if we're strictly talking about price action here, my targets for BitTensor, are not crazy. I'm expecting maybe a 4 or 5x if we're really, on the positive side here. But the point is right now, I think if you're still holding BitTensor like myself, I think we're at a point in the chart, we're at a point with this project where there's a lot of upside. And, if the market is going to continue higher, there is going to be potential for Tau to do some crazy things. So I am still holding an allocation into Tau. It's about 10% of my portfolio at the moment. I'm not moving any of it. The only thing that I reduced a little bit of Tau for was GOAT. Now, I talked about GOAT in my last video. I was happy to see that, today it's not up as much as it was at the start of the day, but it's up about 45% from its lows, and I'm happy with the fact that I have an allocation to GOAT. Now, I will say this, most of the mind share, most of the capital right now is definitely rotating into Fartcoin. And I understand the thesis behind Fartcoin. I understand that, if we're looking at the probability of success when trying to catch the wave with the AI meta, that, Fartcoin being the only meme coin makes a lot of sense, but I am still not convinced that GOAT is gone and it's has no narrative left, or it has nothing to at least push it to all-time highs. Now, this is where I will start taking profits on GOAT if it gets there. 360% higher than where it is right now is where I would even consider taking profits on this. I think it can easily get back to all-time highs, granted that we have that kind of major altcoin season. So this is why I've been talking about GOAT. Guys, the last time I talked about GOAT was right before it ripped from about this same spot to, basically going 4x, going 300%, 400% to its all-time highs before then, doing a correction. So I am not giving up on GOAT. And, I don't think you should either if you have conviction in it. But yes, I still hold, and I did allocate to GOAT right before, it started moving up, and it's up 45% from the lows. So there is some demand for it. And I think maybe, again, we will reassess this on a weekly basis. Like if the narrative is clearly shifting away from GOAT and there's no chance that, this chart hasn't bottomed and there's more downside, then yes, we'll probably allocate it all to Fartcoin. And then just say we should have done that from the beginning, which will be hilarious. But again, I love the Fartcoin chart. I think it looks great. I love the idea that this probabilistically is going to do well. But I don't think that it's your only play here to get exposure to the AI meta, even though it might be your highest probability chance. I think people are overstating it a little bit, but this thing's probably going to be, it's probably going to run. So own some Fartcoin if you don't already. This is random Morpheus. So if you guys know, if you follow me on X, we called Morpheus under $1.50 before any of these major influencers. We were talking about it. We knew, guys, the whole point is like what I try and do, or that my whole purpose here is to try and be in before any of these guys talk about it online. And it makes me feel good when I am. And I did it with Arrow. I did it with Morpho. I did it with Tau for the most part before anybody was really talking about it. And so I feel a sort of attachment to them and want to talk about them when they're performing very well. So Morpho is another one that since we talked about it, and again, in a bull market, guys, everyone's a genius. Everything's going up. But the point is, this was a pretty low risk bet to take because it is part of the base DeFi ecosystem. And just like Arrow, it's basically rinsing and repeating the same narratives. If Base and Arrow are going to grow and Coinbase as, an entity is going to have market share, then obviously the projects that are the backbone or what we say underpinning the actual blockchain infrastructure, it's obviously going to do well. So Morpho, Arrow, I'm not going to take credit and say like, guys, this was an amazing alpha play. These are no-brainers. If you're someone who spends a lot of time in the crypto space, you should be looking at these and saying, yes, like these are actually lower risk allocations if we believe there's an all market. And it's great to see that, Morpho's hitting above $4 and hopefully some of you guys picked it up, much lower. So the next one, let's see, talking about it. And this one's also about 5 to 10% of my portfolio, Morpho. But I think I will be taking profits into other things pretty soon. KASPA. So let's talk about KASPA. The last time we talked about KASPA, and I actually talked about this on the podcast, go check out the podcast. I'm hard showing this to you guys. I think the content is great. It's only going to get better. Me and my boy Alex are going to be running up the episodes and really pushing out content for you guys in 2025, because again, like I said, I really do, and we as a team really believe that 2025 is going to be a great year for crypto. And even if it's not, it's going to be a great year to learn some lessons and see how someone and some people who have been in the space for quite some time, as transparently, as honestly as possible, navigate the markets without being a part of like some cabal where you're insider trading essentially, because that's just, it's not the route that I've gone down. I'm still kind of just like my own independent investor and try and actually do this in a way where it feels honest. So we'll see. It's set me back at times, but I think, good people always land on their feet, and I'll be rewarded for doing things the right way. Anyway, and you as well if you're out there doing this. Anyway, on the podcast, we were literally talking about the chart and talking about this area right here being the bottom for KASPA. Well, guess what happened? KASPA ran 40% from there. So it's looking really good right now. There's a lot of rumors of a Binance listing for KASPA. So obviously this is why, with these rumors of these exchange listings, this is what's going to pump the price. But really on a technical level, and obviously technical analysis doesn't always work, guys. It's not like this. It's not going to help you predict the future. It's just kind of it's almost like a guide to understanding the psychology of the market, but it's not something that you're going to be able to look at every single day and be like, I know what's going to happen next. You're never going to know what's going to happen next. That's why the markets are so tricky, why they're so hard to kind of do or kind of navigate, is because there's always going to be someone out there, especially on the internet, telling you like, hey, I have the answers. If you do X, Y, and Z, the results will always equate to you in profit or you being right. There's no such thing. It's all a game of probabilities at the end of the day. But the point is, technically speaking, this was an area that we've marked down for forever, and everyone who follows KASPA knows the 10-cent area was a huge area of support. And realistically, if KASPA did not break above or hold this level, from a technical standpoint, it would be very hard to say that it would be wise to continue holding this asset. But it's holding this 10-cent range. I don't believe that it's going to, just break through now and go to all-time highs just yet. I think we're going to have maybe another consolidation before we go higher, something like that. I don't think it's going to be up only from here. It usually never is, but that's the amazing thing about being a long-term convicted holder in these things, is that you don't need to really worry about it too much. If you have a long-term thesis as to what's going to happen with KASPA, I think that this is probably going to trade higher eventually. So KASPA, it's not a massive portion of my portfolio, but I love the project. I still hold it, and I'm looking forward to it doing well. So let's move on to SWI, which is one that I also hold, which honestly, looking at the chart, I have been considering if it should go to something else, if I should allocate to something else, because I think we've caught a lot of this run up. I didn't get in at the very bottom, but from where we started DCA into this thing, it's up 200%. And I think, yes, there might be other plays in the market. Honestly, KASPA could be a better play than SWI and potentially outperform it from here, just because KASPA has lagged a little bit. But I think holding this here, there's a lot of big players in the space that are just pushing this, and I think it's gonna potentially run higher. So I'm going to hold my allocation in SWI for now, but it is one I am looking to rotate out of, looking to DCA out of soon. So just keep that in mind. So XRP, one that we are kind of in a short to medium term trade here. This one we had Alex freaking talking to us about this over here. Me being someone who's been here for 4 or 5 years, has literally seen XRP do nothing, so I wasn't buying it. I wasn't convinced that this was the time to get in. But of course, it's seen a massive move from those lows, almost 600% from there. We're in an active trade here. If you guys have been following me on X, 2024, one of our best trades of the year was a daily DCA. So essentially every single day, putting a little bit of money into MSTR, MicroStrategy stock. MicroStrategy stock, if you don't know, absolutely exploded in 2024. We took all of our profits from MSTR to then compound those gains with something else. And basically what I did was I put those gains into XRP in the $2 to $2.30 range. It has now broken out. It's above, $3 here. And I am looking to, exit this position as we climb higher. I'm not trying to hold this thing forever. I don't think it's going to run forever, but I think XRP is a perfect example of there's plenty of people in the space, people who think they know what's going on with the space, who have been telling you XRP is trash, XRP is not going to make you any money, there's nothing fundamentally about this project you should care about. Yes, that might be true. It might be centralized dog shit, but it's gone 6x from the bottom. And a lot of other coins are struggling to do the same. And so from a money-making perspective, I'm not going to fade the XRP trade just because people don't like it and it's centralized. If you think about where the normies are going to come to, they're going to come to things like XRP first. And then, again, we've talked about this in detail. The wealth effect that could potentially be created by XRP will then trickle down into other altcoins. But again, we're seeing a cycle that that could potentially be way bigger than we even thought originally. All right, so moving on from XRP, which is one I never believed I'd talk about. AIXBT. AIXBT has absolutely ripped faces. Now, we have been talking about it since sub 20 cents. We bought sub 20 cents. We bought sub 30 cents, 40. Basically all the way up we have bought. Because I believe that this is a genuinely, potentially another Pepe investment where it's just under $1 billion right now. I think it could go over $1 billion for sure and then higher. The thing is here, I am, up several, X's. I've done maybe a 3 or 4 X on this at this point where, yes, eventually I'm thinking to take profits on this. And so I don't necessarily have a plan yet as to when exactly I'm going to take profits, but after it's gone up 100% in a week, you have to consider some things. And I am definitely considering when it is that I'm going to take profits. I just still, maybe I'm a complete degenerate, but I still don't think this thing has topped out. I mean, even on a technical level, it's not even back into overbought territory. It's basically just essentially tagged, almost overbought territory. So I genuinely think this thing can run higher. I think it has so much more dynamics than a regular meme. And at the end of the day, it is, in my opinion, you look at these things like memes where they're super high risk, super high reward, but they are at the end of the day memes. They're not long-term investments, but AIXBT actually has a lot going for it in terms of the AIXBT trading terminal. So there's a lot more dynamism to this thing than a regular meme, which is why I tend to like it more. But I'm not going to get attached to my bags here. I am looking to when I'm going to scale out of this because it has performed so well. But again, I might end up selling too early. I don't know. All right, so basically the only thing in my portfolio right now that's not doing very well is AIX or AI16Z. Now, AI16Z has already had a biblical run up from basically unheard of to almost 2 billion in market cap. And I think that, since it got listed on Binance Perps and just in general, the community is no longer really a fan of this token. I think the founder is kind of controversial. And I guess there's a lot to hate on this token or this project. I guess there's a lot of reasons to not like it. But for me, the allocation that I have, I do have a decent allocation to this, and I'm not selling yet. If anything changes, the first place you'll hear about it is probably on Twitter. Most of my entries are between this 90-cent level and $1.33. It's down, after rallying all the way up to $1.60. It's now down pretty bad, guys. Pretty bad. It's down almost, what is it? Yeah, 32% in the last couple of days. But even more strikingly, from its very top, it's down, almost 60%. This is a good thing. If this is ever going to come back and actually show some strength, it's probably going to be one that runs up pretty hard. Like I said, if anything, and you'll hear this in videos probably next week if I end up doing it, is I will either transfer this and capitulate on AI16Z and just put it all into GOAT or Fartcoin and just call it a day, or I will look for another project that I think has high, a good risk reward potential and will make a play there. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I will certainly let you know when I make that play and when I decide to do what I decide to do. But that's, I believe, everything in my portfolio outside of owning things like Ethereum, Solana, Bitcoin, the basics. And the majority of my portfolio is, as things run higher, will go into Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and maybe not even Ethereum. I have a good allocation there. But point being, we have to stay grounded, guys. We have to realize that, the good times in crypto do not always last forever. I know we've talked about super cycles and all of these things that are very positive for the space. But if I've learned anything in the last couple of years, it's that I'm going to be grounded in these situations. I'm going to stay grounded and in the reality that all this could change very quickly, because I've seen it change very quickly. But I am extremely positive on the space. I'm extremely positive and feel very gratified in a way that everything we've talked about for years, and if you go back and watch videos from 2020 and 21 that I've posted, a lot of the things that we were talking about are coming to fruition. And at that time, it was almost like we were too early, almost, to a lot of these things. And a lot of pain has been endured since then. But it is gratifying, like I said. The world is kind of waking up to crypto in a way that I didn't think would happen this soon. And yeah, I think there's plenty of opportunity here, and it's the place to be. And that's why we're here on this journey. So guys, make sure you are letting me know what you're doing with your portfolio. Tell me what the alpha is. I'm trying to share with you my thoughts, what I think is going to happen, and be as open as possible with you guys. Share that with me. I can't believe we've been talking for 25 minutes. I got to shut up. But share that with me. Make sure you subscribe, like the video. I appreciate the hell out of all of you guys. I hope you enjoy your weekends. Stay grounded. Remember that there's a lot more to life than crypto and making money and whatever. And in general, be grateful for the life you have if you're here. And yeah, I hope you're all having a wonderful week, and we will talk next week. Peace out.